Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Ships and Giggles. This is episode 11, which certainly climbing up the ranks here pretty quickly with that, but it's business, and I've got some interesting stuff to share with you today. So I would almost classify this as an emergency episode, if you will, just because of some of the crazy stuff that's happened lately, and I gotta dump off some of this footage and kind of clear my head and my hard drive of some space here because there's just so much that has happened in my own matches lately. Now, as you can see here, I'm in the Bogatyr and I have AFT, and I can reach out to over 13 plus kilometers, and I'm trying to set up a double strike because we very clearly lost this, and boom, there we go. That extra range came in pretty handy there. And anybody who follows me on Twitter, you know, I bought the gearing, I've got that, and in order to do so, I went through a grind with the Fletcher in I think it took like about 9-10 matches, something like that, in order to get about 50,000 XP, and I was using some of the gold camo that I had left over from Giggles contest, so yeah, that was cool. But you can see here I'm engaging both the Lo Yang and the Benson, and we were down 5 ships to 2, and I'm trying to cap B here and get us back into the match because we shouldn't be losing this, but our team is moving across the mid here, and that's a great sign. But one of the things that helped turn this back around, even though we just lost 2 ships, was this moment right here. Taking out the Lo Yang, look over, and the Benson gets taken out right at the same time too. I love double strikes. So here, actually this was, I think, the very next match too. Kind of funny. Switched down to the Nicholas, and there's an Independence hiding right behind the island here. And you know, I've been trying to move in, and we had some issues with the fact that they had a number of stealthy torp boats, and so I was concerned about keeping them away from my battleships, and I tried to do what I could there. And I found a target of opportunity here as the Minakaze led me right to the Independence, and so I launched the torps out to the Independence, and I'm trying to, over the Independence, engage the Minakaze. And I've got this double strike set up. I'm just trying to connect on the Minakaze, which finally, there we go. And then the second set of torps finishes off the Independence. Now, this was one of my favorite moments in recent memory. I was in the Fletcher, of course. I moved down the 4 line on land to fire to try to throw torps behind the island at A, and spotted the enemy Mayhem over here. I get as close as I can to my concealment before I open fire, and I'm hoping that I can get at least a few salvos in before he, you know, just disappears and all that. And I've got plenty of teammates over here that can hopefully throw down some shells against these guys too. It turns out there's a Hatu Haru that's right next to him as well. I dump torps and smoke just because, well, I'm trying to push the guys away, so once they see the torps, you know, they'll veer off and, you know, head back behind A or something. And the smoke, just in case. There's a number of reasons for it, but if you take a look at that spread there, they're lining up perfectly for a double strike. I nearly crapped myself on that one. I did not expect that. So 2 full health destroyer kills with the second spread? Yeah, I think it was the second spread. Wow. And, you know, just kept playing the Fletcher and was having a lot of fun with it. I had a number of matches where I only did like 10,000, 11,000 damage, but I tried to offer as much utility as I could. And what you're seeing here is a Yamato, and I believe Air 3074. Pretty sure he frequents my stream channel, so I know that name, and I'm pretty familiar with that name, but unfortunately for him, he was in a spot where he wasn't going to be able to do anything. It was either turn into the Shimakaze torps or my torps, and it was just well-timed enough to be able to have a situation where he wasn't going to be able to escape without massive damage inflicted to him. So we've got our team's Yamato over here, and I'm being a badass, doing what more people should do, of course, and laying down a smoke screen for him, and then I'm going to peel off and go ahead of it so I can continue spotting for him to maximize the effect of this. And he had just taken the torp as well, so he had to obviously use his repair, or, well, potentially use his repair most likely. And I just wanted to make sure that we had the best chance of winning, and he was being aggressive, he was pushing up, so I wanted to reward that by providing him some cover. Then break down, go right into the utility mode here, and finishing off the destroyers and trying to see where I can help. Of course, there was I think that was a Benson or something, I can't remember, or a Fubuki, but there's a Shimikaze over here who's heavily damaged, and you can tell he's got his engines out and just trying to finish him off, because if there's no more torps coming from Shimikaze, great, because he's dead, and that means so much to a team. Now, as far as the tier 10 destroyers go, I've got the gearing, and now I'm actually more inclined to play tier 10, because this thing is hilarious, and I cannot wait until I get some more captain skills. I only have basic fire and training, which brings the reload down to 2.7 seconds. I have last stand and superintendent. That's it. And don't ask me, I'm just the type of person that wants my ships to have their own dedicated captains, that sort of thing, and I hate shuffling captains around. I know it kind of defeats the purpose, or some of the purpose of having premium ships and whatnot, but I don't give a shit. So, my spatial awareness was lacking a little bit in this match, as you can tell, with a Hipper, Des Moines, and Iowa very, very close to my starboard bow here, and don't ask me why the Des Moines has an activated radar. I don't know if he did already or that sort of thing, and these torps are way, way too close. I don't know what the hell that guy was thinking, but that was a really desperate move to just try to get torps off, and yeah, very, very lucky I didn't get TK'd there, but I get the Des Moines with one torp and get a few more in the Iowa there, so he's in a whole world of hurt right now, as you can see with the glory of this reload. And I mean, at 11.1 kilometers, which is the default max range on this, outside of AFT and any modules, when you have basic firing training, you can have up to 4 salvos in the air before you have the first shell hit from the first salvo. So that's 24 shells in the air before the first one hits. That's a lot of firepower when you're talking about module damage, fire chance, that sort of thing. I would love to get a demolition expert on this too. That would just be hilarious. God, if I could just have all the captain skills on one ship, this would be it. So, but yeah, North Carolina, he's regretting his choices, of course, and Swagger is behind me. He's moving up, trying to see if he can get some damage done. I'm just harassing the hell out of this guy and trying to inflict as much damage as I can before I have to move anywhere else. As you can see, they still have a number of ships to the south of this island here, and there's also Timmy G and his gearing, which I don't know exactly where he is, so that's kind of a concern for the team. But looks like a Tirpitz is going to try to rush Swagger, so luckily I was still in the position to be able to do something, and I had my torps ready, so I launch a volley of HE and then switch over to AP, and I'm misplacing my shots here for the most part. I'm trying to have them just a little bit higher than where that first salvo hit, and unfortunately I'm not really adjusting all that much to make it work that way, but managed to hit the Tirpitz with a couple of torps, and Swagger takes his frustration out on the North Carolina with that salvo there, and as we can see, he's gone. So good shot there. So one of the things I have missed, and this is something that has prevented me from really being able to get back into the high tier matches and tier 10, is the chaos of tier 10. Back in closed beta, it was so much fun. Like I played a lot of tier 10 matches. Like save for the Des Moines, because the Des Moines really sucked back then. Just the way it got focused was incredible, actually, and it still does, but yeah, for some reason I just couldn't do anything with it, so I dropped that ship. Once I got the Zao, the Montana, the Yamato, I did get the gearing. It was just a lot more fun. The gearing, I would say, I didn't really enjoy all that much. I did have a close to 200 hit streak against a I think it was in Iowa, and the old islands of ice, so that was pretty funny because I only did 11,000 damage to him. But anyways, I really, outside of destroyers, I'm not interested in playing high tier at all anymore. Destroyers are far more interesting to me, and I feel like I have more of an impact, and I'm more capable of having an impact more frequently in the destroyer at high tier. And so that's why I play the hell out of the Fletcher. I love that ship. It's a fantastic ship, and it's the only tier 9 I bother playing. I don't even care about tier 8s anymore. It's just, they don't do anything for me. But when it comes to tier 9 and 10, the Fletcher, gearing, no problem. I'll bring them out because they're fun as hell to play, and I can probably make something happen with them, or at least I should be able to. So I don't know what was going on with that Khabarovsk. If you're not moving at least like 7,000 knots in the Khabarovsk, you're probably going to get killed. So he was not moving that quickly at all, and I still had trouble hitting him. The gearing is definitely a ship that you want to, like what you saw earlier with the Fletcher, how I opened up on the Mayhan on Land of Fire. You only want to break that concealment right when you have to, like at the last possible second, and then you start dumping in your shells on the Khabarovsk, because they're a nasty ship. You're not going to be able to hit them beyond, say, 7-8 kilometers, really, not reliably, but they can hit you from any range. But against the U.S. destroyers are incredible at brawling at the close ranges with the destroyers. They're just so damn good at it, and I love playing the Fletcher, the Benson up close, and the Farragut. They feel so powerful in that range. That's their wheelhouse, But this match just had a little bit of everything, but the next one you'll see was even better. But 176,000 damage in the second match with the gearing, and that is my new high water mark for damage in the destroyer. Had 2,450 base XP. It was just a all-around pretty crazy game. So had 330 hits, and you could see the damage totals there. But the big news is this baby, the Scharnhorst. So right off the bat, remember what I said about Kutuzovs being batshit crazy on hotspot for some reason? Yep. I'm telling you. Like clockwork, you could expect a Kutuzov to charge it to A for some stupid ass reason. So 1 Citadel, 6 overpens. Yeah. And that was fantastic dispersion, by the way. That's way better than average. And I gotta confess something about this ship. Mechanically, in terms of the game mechanics, this ship can't do well. It can't overmatch much of anything frontally. Actually, if anything, it has really bad dispersion because it's battleship dispersion, and the damage totals are low because it's more of a cruiser in the gun department than it is a battleship, even though it has battleship dispersion and all those drawbacks. You can really see where the ship was toned down drastically in order to make it not overpowered and make it have some sort of drawbacks to it. What I can tell you from my own personal experience so far is that probably, think of it this way, it's like the York. Above 10 kilometers, you're not going to do shit with AP. You're just not. It doesn't have the penetrating power for it, and you just don't have the normalization to be able to punch through somebody like as they're taking a turn out or something like that. Some ships are like work really well that way. This is not one of them, and this is one of the most interesting ships in the game, and I gotta say, it's one of the most fun. And I did not expect that at all, because at range above 10 kilometers, I would say maybe north of 12 kilometers. I mean, under that, you should be just fine with AP on cruisers and closer range against battleships, of course. But you are an HE boat north of, say, 10, 12 kilometers, just depending. And under that, you're either one. And there's no shame in running HE on this. I fully expect that when I get the points for it, I'm going to run Demolition Expert on this because it's going to be badass. It has a 20% chance of fire, so you can boost that up to 23, of course. But with the 20-second reload and the way these shells come in, because they have an interesting arc where they come down pretty quick. They go out at, like, say, about a 35-degree angle. They kind of just slope up. And once they start turning down, they come down fast. And I like the way that it does it because it kind of spreads the shells out over top of the ship. And it gives you a really good chance to make the HE really viable and do module damage and obviously, hopefully, start fires. I had a match earlier where I strictly used HE and ended up with like 11 fires or something like that, and I could definitely see a lot more coming up with this soon, and yeah, an Arsonist or a Witherer is definitely in the ship's future. So I launched a couple torps, or well, one torp spread at the York, and that is damage saturation. So 2 torps hit the same spot, and yeah, that should have killed him, but no. Now, this match is nuts, and when I say that, I'm not saying it lightly. Trust me, this is completely batshit crazy. And I fired an AP salvo at the Nagato that was turned away, of course, and I'm clearly switching back to HE, anticipating some more salvos against him. I'm not anticipating being able to penetrate the side of the North Carolina, but that's still not going to prevent me from trying. This ship, honestly, with the AP HE selection, is a lot like the Ishizuchi. And that's kind of weird to say, but the Ishizuchi is effectively a cruiser with battleship qualities. And that's what you could say about this. I will say that this has some of the trolliest, actually, I gotta say, it has the trolliest armor I've experienced in the game so far. For instance, I had actually rolled in Colorado for a match while we were doing the Scharnhorst divisions, and watched this torpedo, by the way. Say what? Lucky for now. But I was expecting to roll through the armor of the Scharnhorst, and it didn't happen. I used the Scharnhorst against North Carolinas, charged right at them, and it just kept taking damage. This is an incredible brawler, and the combination of speed and the armor with the fact that it has effectively cruiser primary armament, and with the flexibility that is offered by torpedoes and stuff, this has got to be the best brawler in the game. And that's saying a lot compared to some of the higher tier battleships. I mean, I'm in love with this thing right now. So, and I did not expect that at all. So check out this Farragut though. I guess his torps were on reload and splat. Now, I can't turn here, unfortunately, because it's better to give my side to one Colorado as opposed to giving it to a North Carolina and a Nagato by turning in. So, luckily, the torps connected before he was able to fire, and Frere is moving up here as fast as he can to try to close the gap on the North Carolina and the Nagato and get some torps out. So I launched my port side torps on the North Carolina that's backing up, and I'm making a mistake here, and you can see the shell velocity on the ship is extremely fast, upwards of 100 meters per second faster than any of the other tier 7 battleships. I mean, that's pretty damn amazing. So get the North Carolina with a couple more torps, and Frere is on his last legs here, and actually our team is too. So they've got 5 ships remaining, we've got 4, Frere's almost down. I wasn't able to punch through the Nagato's armor and get him killed to try to keep Frere alive as he gets close quarter expert by the Nagato, but gets taken out by Frere's torps for just a flesh wound. So that was a crazy sequence of events, but it gets better. So if you take a look at the minimap, well, one, here's the Tashkent here, and he's going to be a problem. Our Fubuki, that's way up in, what is that, like C9, he just managed to take out the enemy carrier. But if you take a look at the minimap, our carrier is also in a lot of trouble too. So there's a Naoba to the south of C, there's a New Mexico south of B, and I've got this Tashkent to deal with. So I get some HE hits there, and I knew these torps were coming, which is why I was bow forward. I'm just trying to get through, and unfortunately I take 2 of these. it looked like everything was sliding there for some reason, so I think I've had some desync issues anyways lately, so whatever. I get a Confederate because the Tashkent is still burning, and taking a look at my other targets here, the New Mexico seems to be sitting pretty for me. And by the way, at max range, 19.9 kilometers, this takes about 11 seconds for the shells to reach the max range, so that's pretty damn good. But inexplicably, and I really don't have an explanation for this, what this guy was thinking, but the Tashkent turns back, and he's on fire, so that already gives, you know, the Tashkent's not a stealthy ship, so being on fire makes it even worse, of course, so that was pretty easy for me to see him. Unfortunately, I was only able to get one shell hit on that salvo. So my main concern is, in this situation, well, one, I want myself and the Fubuki to both get on the caps. If we can stop the ticket bleed, perhaps that'll help, because we're going to lose our carrier. There's no doubt about that. The other issue is that once we lose the carrier, there's no real reason for the enemy team to come back and engage us. That just, you know, makes sure that they can, there's a chance to lose the game. And at this point, I'm feeling confident about being able to kill these guys so long as they're spotted. I'm not afraid of it. This ship can take a beating, and so long as it's not torps, and you know, keep going. I see the Aoba over here. I'm not going to be able to hit him reliably, so I decided to shoot at the New Mexico instead. And the Fubuki is over there capping C, but clearly the Tashkent is going to be heading over that way. Now, you're going to see one of the best examples of, holy shit, I know you're a torpedo boat, but you still have guns. Please use them type of thing. And look at this. I can't stress this enough, that you gotta use your guns in situations like this. You're already spotted. He can see you, just fire. You know, you're going behind an island in a second, that's going to break it. I somehow managed to miss the first salvo against the Tashkent as he went into sea, and I didn't get any hits there either, so I couldn't help out the Fubuki at all. Now, I have the New Mexico turning back, which kind of surprised me. And like I said, I wasn't really expecting this at all in terms of, you know, all they had to do was run. I mean, I could have caught up with him, I could have kept harassing him, sure, but I would have had to reach 13.8 kilometers, you know, and that may have been able to happen, but not with, you know, so little time remaining and so on and so forth. I mean, there was no real guarantee that I'd be able to get a kill there. So the Tashkent pops back up, and you can see he still has the same health as he did before. And my first turret straddles. Oh, there we go. We finally got some shells coming in from the Fubuki. Yay. But I only did 528 damage. I knocked out his engine. And now it's pretty much just up to the Fubuki to fend for himself while I try to engage and destroy the enemy New Mexico here. And I'm just staying on the cap. I'm not necessarily concerned about actually capping. It's just so long as there's no... So we're not losing the tickets regardless. You know, so long as the enemy team isn't gaining them, that's at least a small victory, and if I can cap it, great. But I still have my guns pointing over towards C in anticipation of the Tashkent showing up, and I'm watching with bated breath as those torps go in, and I'm just hoping that the Fubuki survives. So I point my bow towards the New Mexico, and I start coming out just a little bit more, and I fire the HE that I had loaded against the Aoba, and I switch back to AP. I was really hoping that that salvo would have just killed him outright, but didn't do all that much damage at all. And I get my port side torps going here, launch those. And by the way, I gotta say, if you're gonna play against the Scharnhorst as a destroyer, don't get within 6 kilometers. Those secondaries will shred you. There are so many good secondaries. Now I managed to get a 10.8k damage salvo with AP on the New Mexico, and he doesn't seem to have any idea that those torps are coming. So I bring my front turrets around on the Aoba. I've got my AP ready. I just had my B turret disabled, but I get one turret off, get the torpedoes to hit right around the same time as the shells find the Aoba, and my rear turret, just in the nick of time, with sweet dispersion, finds the Tashkent for the win. Ooh boy, that was by far the best match I've had with this so far. So hopefully by now EU and SEA servers have the Scharnhorst available. I gotta tell you, I did not think this was going to be as much fun as it is, but I'm in love with this damn thing. It's just such a game changer. So thanks for watching today, guys, and I'll see you back here soon. Take care.